On the vast savannas, where distance dictates survival, every movement carries strategic significance. African wild dogs proactively approach, quickly splitting their formation and closing the gap, forcing their prey into a controlled position from the very first seconds. Once the encirclement is complete, the outcome is virtually decided, and the chances of turning the situation around become extremely slim. In the deserts and semi-deserts of the Sahara and the Arabian Peninsula, oryx are adapted to high temperatures and scarce water resources. Their bodies minimize water loss and utilize moisture from their food. They typically maintain formation to limit the exposure of weak individuals and keep a safe distance. But when they leave the formation, this advantage quickly becomes vulnerable and exposes their weaknesses. On the edge of the dry savanna, an oryx separated from its pack while foraging and came into the sights of a pack of African wild dogs. They moved in a wide circle, approaching from multiple directions and maintaining a steady pace. When the oryx accelerated to escape, one dog closed in, slowing it down, while the others gradually closed the circle, blocking all escape routes and creating a situation of escalating pressure. The chase on the dry ground forced the oryx to constantly adjust its direction. It tried to use its horns to maintain distance and pace, but as the distance shortened and escape routes were controlled, the pack of wild dogs alternately closed in, maintaining pressure at close range and slowing the target down. The target gradually lost its balance and could no longer maintain its direction, and at this point, the hunt ended with the wild dogs gaining the advantage. On the vast grasslands of East Africa, such as the Serengeti, lions live in open spaces, utilizing their long-distance vision and flat terrain to coordinate hunting in groups and control territory. They often operate near water sources where prey frequent, maintaining the advantage for most of the time. But when alone, this advantage gradually reveals a clear weakness. In the middle of the savannah, a pack of African wild dogs quickly spotted a lion that had separated from the pack. Instead of immediately attacking, they fanned out to surround it, maintaining distance and observing its movements. When an opening appeared, the pack of dogs accelerated, closing in from multiple directions and maintaining constant pressure, forcing the lion to shift its position and reduce its control of space, creating a significantly escalating tension. In this tense confrontation, the wild dogs closed in, taking turns closing in at close range, maintaining pressure from various directions, causing the lion to constantly change position. However, the lion maintained its distance, observed, and waited for its opportunity, then reacted quickly to widen the approach routes. The dogs tried to maintain pressure but couldn't keep a safe distance, and the confrontation ended when the lion held its position. The wild dogs retreated, and the situation shifted to a point where they could no longer maintain pressure. In the savannas and dry grasslands of sub-Saharan Africa, warthogs live in open spaces, preferring areas with a wide field of vision to detect danger from afar, often foraging near low grass and keeping a distance from their burrows so they can retreat quickly when needed. However, when they move away from their shelters, this advantage gradually reveals a clear weakness. Near the riverbank, a pack of African wild dogs spotted a warthog drinking water. They fanned out, maintaining distance and observing its movements. When their target let its guard down, the pack accelerated simultaneously, closing in unexpectedly from multiple directions and maintaining constant pressure, forcing the warthog to flee and change direction repeatedly, creating a situation of escalating pressure. During the short chase, the wild dogs took turns closing in and blocking escape routes, maintaining pressure from multiple sides, causing the warthog to gradually slow down and lose its rhythm. It tried to react and find its way back to safety, but the escape routes were increasingly blocked, and it could no longer maintain distance. At this point, the hunt ended when the wild dogs completely controlled the situation, and the outcome became unsustainable. In an open environment, early detection only provides an initial advantage. When faced with coordinated tactics and constant pressure, the safe distance quickly narrows, and when all directions of movement are controlled, the situation becomes irreversible. In the savannas and open woodlands of East and Southern Africa, such as Kenya, Tanzania, and Botswana, the impala lives among grasslands and shrubs, utilizing clumps of acacia trees for foraging and shelter. They often stand at the edge of the forest to move quickly when danger arises, thus maintaining a flexible response. However, once separated from their safe zone, this advantage quickly becomes vulnerable to exploitation. In the middle of the savannah, an impala strayed from its safe zone and quickly came into the sight of a pack of African wild dogs. They changed direction and split into multiple groups to approach. As the impala accelerated to escape, one dog caught up and held it tightly at close range, slowing its run. The impala tried to break free, but the others closed the encirclement, closing in on it from all directions, creating a rapidly escalating and spreading pressure. The chase continued across the grassland. The impala tried to maintain its speed and jump to disrupt the chase. But as the distance shortened and its escape route was controlled, the pack of wild dogs closed in from multiple directions, alternating positions and applying close-range pressure. The target gradually lost its balance and could no longer maintain its direction. And at this point, the hunt ended with the wild dogs gaining the advantage, the situation turning into a hopeless one. In the East African savannas, hyenas are well adapted to harsh conditions, active day and night, and utilize a variety of food sources from hunting to scavenging. They rely on collective strength to maintain an advantage over rivals, but when separated from the group or lacking support, this advantage gradually reveals its obvious weaknesses. Near a patch of low grass, two hyenas were guarding a food source when a pack of African wild dogs emerged from the edge of the bushes. They approached from different directions, maintaining distance and observing the hyena's movements. When an opening appeared, the pack accelerated simultaneously, closing in from multiple sides and maintaining constant pressure, forcing their opponents to retreat and lose their position, escalating the situation to a tense standoff. In a brief confrontation, the pack of wild dogs simultaneously closed in on both hyenas. One held their ground at close range while the others closed in, taking turns applying pressure. Both hyenas were forced to move from their positions and lose their safe distance. They tried to react but couldn't maintain their formation, and the struggle ended there as the pack of wild dogs gained complete control of the area and secured the food, turning the situation into a hopeless one. In competition between predators, numbers and coordination create a clear advantage in the short term. When rivals lose their position and fail to maintain their original formation, the situation quickly changes. And once all avenues of approach are controlled, the outcome becomes irreversible. Along the rivers and freshwater swamps of East Africa, crocodiles control the necessary access points for prey, often lying motionless underwater with only their eyes and nose visible, waiting for the opportune moment. This advantage helps them maintain control of the area, but once they leave the water, that advantage gradually reveals a clear weakness. On the riverbank, a pack of African wild dogs quickly spotted a crocodile basking in the sun. They fanned out in different directions, maintaining distance and observing its movements. When an opening appeared, the dogs simultaneously accelerated, closing in from multiple directions and maintaining constant pressure, forcing the crocodile to turn and retreat towards the water's edge, creating a situation of escalating pressure. In a brief confrontation, the wild dogs closed in, closing in at close range and maintaining pressure from multiple directions, causing the crocodile to constantly adjust its position. It reacted by pushing back and then quickly accelerating towards the water's edge. The dogs pursued but couldn't maintain a safe distance, and the confrontation ended when the crocodile successfully plunged into the river, completely ending the confrontation. Among vast ecosystems like the Serengeti and Masai Mara, wildebeest constantly move seasonally in search of new pastures. They maintain a rhythmic troop movement and avoid staying in one place for too long, thereby reducing the risk of ambush. However, when their formation is disrupted during foraging, this state gradually reveals significant gaps. On the grassland, a pack of wildebeest was foraging when they were spotted by a pack of African wild dogs. The dogs quickly split up and approached from multiple directions. As the pack began to panic and scatter, two wildebeest separated from the group became the primary targets. One dog approached from behind to slow their movement, while the others closed in, blocking escape routes and creating a widespread pressure. The chase continued for a long distance as the wildebeest tried to maintain their speed and rejoin the pack. However, as the distance narrowed and escape routes were controlled, one wild dog caught up and held them tightly, slowing their movement. The wildebeest tried to escape, but the rest of the pack quickly surrounded them, taking turns closing in and bringing them to a halt. Ultimately, the hunt ended when the wildebeest could not escape, and the situation became untenable. Throughout these confrontations, the African wild dog's ability to coordinate seamlessly and maintain consistent pressure allowed them to control the entire course of events, turning their numerical advantage into a clear advantage. This demonstrates that in nature, tactics and synchronization are key factors, as even a small deviation can alter the outcome. Once control is maintained to its limit, the situation is often difficult to reverse. In the vast savannah environment, hyenas often appear at the intersections of predators and prey. Encounters occur when food sources, territory, or offspring are threatened in the open space. The following sequence of events illustrates how hyenas utilize numbers, timing, and location to exert pressure in each confrontation. In the open areas of the Serengeti and Kalahari deserts, cheetahs often use termite mounds or raised mounds to observe prey from a distance. The less obstructed environment allows them to utilize their speed when hunting antelopes like springbok. When operating in this open space, cheetahs usually maintain distance from competitors to protect their food source and offspring. Near this area, a hyena appears and begins to observe as the cheetah has just brought down its prey. It maintains distance, moves slowly, and gradually approaches to build pressure. When it sees an opportunity, the hyena approaches directly, forcing the cheetah to stand between the carcass and its young. The pressure increases rapidly as the hyena continuously advances to take its position. The cheetah responds by advancing and maintaining a short distance from its opponent. The result is that the hyena retreats, while the cheetah retains its carcass and maintains its position to protect its young. The sequence of events suggests that the cheetah was able to maintain an advantage in short bursts while protecting its young and food sources. The hyena was capable of applying sustained pressure, but was limited by its inability to gain a numerical advantage. The situation concluded when the cheetah regained control and the hyena withdrew from the area. In sub-Saharan Africa, African buffaloes are widely distributed and often operate near water sources. Tall grasslands provide a stable food supply, while open spaces allow the herd to easily observe its surroundings. When gathered in large groups, buffaloes form a clear defensive structure. A group of hyenas maintains a distance and begins to observe the herd for extended periods. They move in a circle and try to pressure an individual to separate them from the group. As the number of hyenas increases, they approach from multiple directions to test the herd's reaction. The pressure gradually increases as the buffalo herd narrows its formation and moves the adult individuals to the outside. They advance step by step and maintain distance, forcing the hyenas to retreat after each approach. The result is that no individual is separated from the herd, and the hyenas gradually leave the area. In the final stage, the buffaloes demonstrate effectiveness through their defensive structure and synchronized response. Hyenas are capable of applying group pressure, but are limited in their ability to break up formations. The game ends with the buffaloes maintaining their formation, while hyenas fail to maintain their approach. In the African savannah, zebras live in open grasslands with good visibility, allowing them to detect threats early. Many populations are concentrated in East and South Africa, often grazing in open areas and avoiding dense thickets. When moving in groups in this terrain, the herd maintains a stable formation, but weakened individuals can become vulnerable targets. Outside the herd's range, a group of hyenas maintains an observational position and adjusts their direction to the zebra's movements. They circle around to find open spaces and gradually close the distance to a single individual with limited mobility. When the distance is close enough, the hyenas approach from multiple directions and maintain pressure on the target. The pressure intensifies as the number of hyenas increases, and they approach in short bursts. The zebra cannot maintain its distance, and its ability to react diminishes. The result is that the hyenas gain control of the target, while the zebra remains in place. The results showed that hyena was effective due to teamwork and consistent pressure. Zebra had the advantage of vigilance in open space, but was limited when an individual was weakened. The situation ended when hyena regained control, while zebra failed to maintain safe movement. In the mixed vegetation savanna areas of Africa, leopards are often found in areas with abundant impala, gazelle, and warthog. The dense shrub environment allows them to move stealthily and approach prey at close range. When operating in dense areas, leopards maintain a position close to their food source, making them easily detectable by other species from the edges of the area. From outside that range, two hyenas approach slowly and maintain a distance to observe the leopard's activity. They circle the carcass and wait for the right moment to move in. When the leopard leaves the carcass, the hyenas advance and take its position, forcing the leopard to retreat into the bushes to observe. When the leopard returns to approach the carcass, the hyenas detect it and move directly to intercept. The leopard cannot maintain its approach and must retreat a second time. Ultimately, the hyenas retain the carcass, and the leopard leaves the area. At the end, it's clear that hyena took advantage of the opportunity when leopard left its position in the open space. Leopard has the advantage of stealthy movement, but is at a disadvantage when facing multiple individuals in direct combat. The battle ends with hyena maintaining control of the food source, while leopard loses its original position. In the savannas of Serengeti National Park and Kruger National Park, wild dogs move in packs and use their long-range vision to track prey. Open space helps them maintain formation as they approach their target. Once they occupy a hunting area, the pack positions itself, allowing them to detect and react to surrounding movement, facilitating approaches from the edges of the area. From the edge of the field, a hyena approaches slowly, maintaining a distance to observe the wild dog pack's formation. It changes direction and waits for a moment when the pack's attention is diverted. As the distance narrows, the hyena closes in to gain a position, but encounters resistance from multiple wild dogs, turning the situation into a direct confrontation. During the confrontation, the wild dog pack closes in short bursts, forcing the hyena to turn to avoid being cornered. The pressure causes the hyena to lose its position and turn towards the nearby water. The match concluded with the hyenas leaving, while the wild dogs held the area. After the outcome was determined, it was evident that the wild dogs maintained their effectiveness through teamwork and consistent pressure. The hyenas were quick to react, but were limited when confined in open space. The match ended with the wild dogs regaining control of the area, while the hyenas failed to maintain their original positions. Along the vast grasslands of the Serengeti, wildebeest are well adapted to open environments and often move near water sources, such as rivers and wetlands. They need to drink water regularly. So many herds congregate around the Mara River during the dry season. By maintaining their location near water sources, wildebeest often create high concentration areas, thereby increasing their chances of being tracked from a distance. From this surrounding area, a hyena spots a young animal and begins to approach at a steady distance. It adjusts its course and waits for the moment when the young animal is out of a safe position. As the distance shortens, the hyena accelerates its pursuit, forcing the young animal to move quickly forward. When the distance shortens to the point where the risk increases, the mother wildebeest detects the situation and moves directly toward the hyena. This appearance changes the approach, forcing the hyena to slow down and adjust its position. Ultimately, the hyena left the area, while the hatchling remained within safe boundaries. After the situation concluded, it was evident that the wildebeest was effective due to its timely response when the hatchling was in danger. The hyena was capable of detecting and approaching quickly, but was limited when faced with a direct response from an adult. The situation ended with the wildebeest securing the hatchling, while the hyena failed to maintain its approach. Amidst the vast grasslands of the Serengeti, lions are adapted to open environments where their long-distance vision aids in tracking prey and group coordination. This is a common habitat for lions in Africa, especially when herds of wildebeest move across the grasslands. When controlling territory and open spaces, lions can detect movement from close range. From the edge of that area, a herd of hyenas approaches and maintains a distance to observe the lion's movements. They circle, change direction, and wait for the right moment to close in. When a male lion enters their range, more than 20 hyenas form a circle and apply pressure from multiple directions. As the circle narrows, the lion constantly turns to counter the approaching directions. The hyenas maintain an approach and withdraw tactic, reducing the lion's ability to hold its position. The situation changed when another lion appeared, and the two lions stood close together and held their positions, forcing the hyenas to leave the area. Once the outcome was determined, it was evident that the hyenas used their numerical advantage to maintain constant pressure. The lions held the upper hand by holding their positions and coordinating effectively within their familiar territory. The battle ended with the hyenas leaving the area and the two lions maintaining control. On the African savannah, lions are often considered the apex predators, possessing formidable strength and coordination. But not every hunt ends in victory, as many other animals possess incredibly dangerous survival instincts and fighting abilities. In these confrontations, even a small mistake can force a predator to give up and retreat from the hunt. Near the edge of the grassland, the young zebra moved close to its mother while the herd constantly observed their surroundings. Zebras have a very high level of vigilance, almost always on alert for danger, and can flee very quickly when they spot predators. They also have good endurance for long runs, and their powerful kicks from their hooves can severely injure a lion. As the herd continued to move, the lion began to approach from behind. From the low grass, the lion began to stalk, and then suddenly lunged at high speed towards the young zebra. It tried to separate the foal from the herd and end the hunt before the mother zebra could turn around. But at the shortest distance, the mother zebra quickly turned, using her hind legs to kick straight at the charging lion, causing it to lose its momentum. From that moment, the hunt began to go against the lion. The lion was forced to retreat as the mother zebra continued to stand in front of her foal, maintaining a distance equal to her body length. This short gap allowed the foal to return to the herd, forcing the lion to halt its pursuit to avoid further injury. The hunt ended quickly as the lion was forced to withdraw due to the fierce resistance of the mother zebra. Along the low grass near their old hunting grounds, the hyena moved slowly, constantly observing its surroundings. Hyenas have a very persistent pursuit instinct and rarely give up when faced with danger. With their very strong jaws, they can break many large bones to eat the marrow inside. So the lion in the distance began to approach more cautiously. Hidden behind the bushes, The lion silently stalked, then suddenly lunged to apply pressure at close range. It tried to use its strength to force the hyena out of position before the confrontation dragged on too long. But as soon as the distance narrowed, the hyena immediately turned, held its position, and reacted continuously, causing the lion to gradually lose its initial advantage. The fierce resistance forced the lion to slow down and begin to retreat from the hunting area. The hyena remained still, observing instead of fleeing, while the lion could no longer maintain a safe distance to continue its approach. After several unsuccessful attempts to get closer, the confrontation ended in defeat as the lion was forced to abandon the hunt against its tenacious and persistent opponent. Under the afternoon sun, a herd of African buffalo moved slowly through the low grass, always maintaining close formation. Buffaloes have a very strong survival instinct, are often wary of danger, and have a good memory of places where predators have been present. Their thick, hard horns help adult buffaloes fight off predators effectively, so the lions must choose their approach very carefully. From the edge of the herd, the lionesses begin to stalk and look for a weak or isolated individual. They approach from multiple directions, trying to split the buffalo herd to create an opportunity to attack a single target. When the distance narrows, the lioness charges forward, while others close in from the sides to apply pressure. The buffalo herd does not flee in disarray when the attack begins. The adult buffalo lowers its head, points its horns towards the lion, and charges straight ahead to block the attack. Immediately afterward, many other buffaloes quickly turn around, forcing the lions out of their approach space and forcing them to retreat. The hunt ended in failure when the lions were unable to separate their target from the buffalo herd. For buffalo, strength comes not only from their horns or body weight, but also from the quick reflexes of the entire herd. In this confrontation, the buffalo's coordinated efforts forced the lions to halt their hunt. On the vast savannah, adult giraffes move slowly with their herd. Their long necks allow them to see kilometers away and detect unusual movement before other herbivores. As the herd becomes alert, the lion in the distance continues to observe, looking for an opportunity to approach. The lion stalks in the low grass, slowly closing the distance to the giraffe. It doesn't charge directly at the upper body, but tries to get close to the legs, where it can unbalance its prey if attacked at the right moment. When the lion accelerates and gets too close, the giraffe immediately turns, puts its strength into its hind legs, and kicks forcefully at the attacker. The kick stuns the lion and forces it to retreat from the hunt. Giraffe legs are very strong, and a well-aimed kick can seriously injure the lion or render it unable to hunt for a long time. The hunt ends in defeat for the lion, as the giraffe still has enough strength to fight back until the very end. On the dry grasslands, a pack of African wild dogs moved closely together, constantly observing their surroundings. They possessed precise hunting instincts, often recognizing weak or injured prey from a great distance. With their compact bodies and high stamina, the wild dogs could change direction quickly and maintain pressure for extended periods. So the lion nearby began to take notice and stealthily approach the pack. The lioness silently stalked them, gradually advancing towards the pack of wild dogs to find an opportunity to break their formation. She suddenly accelerated and lunged, trying to force a few individuals to separate from the group before the confrontation dragged on too long. But as soon as the lion got close, the wild dogs quickly scattered to the sides and closed the circle again, forcing the lioness to constantly change direction and gradually lose the initiative. The confrontation became tense as the wild dogs continued to change positions and maintain pressure around the contested area. After several unsuccessful attempts to approach, the lion's pace slowed and the safe distance gradually narrowed. After a period of ineffective closing in, the lions were forced to leave the area, while the pack of wild dogs maintained their formation and control of the food. Near the shallow riverbank, an adult hippo stood in its familiar watering hole. Hippos are very sensitive to strangers approaching their area and usually react immediately when they feel threatened. With their powerful jaws, they can inflict serious injury on large predators. So the lions in the distance began to approach with obvious caution. From the grassy bank, the lions took turns closing in from behind to put pressure on the hippo. They tried to force the prey away from the water's edge to find an opportunity to attack at closer range. But when the distance narrowed too quickly, the hippo immediately turned, opened its large jaws, and charged straight at the approaching intruders, forcing the lions to retreat and gradually lose their advantage. A sudden counterattack broke the lion's formation and forced the entire pride to retreat to avoid being attacked at close range. When they could no longer maintain a safe position, the lions gradually abandoned the hunt and retreated from the water's edge, while the hippo slowly returned to its own watering hole. Ultimately, the hunt ended in failure, as the lions were unable to maintain pressure against the overwhelming counterattack from the adult hippo. As the light began to dim, the adult rhino slowly made its way through the low grass near the dry bushes. Rhinos have a very strong defensive instinct, especially when they feel threatened at close range. Despite their poor eyesight, they are highly sensitive to smell and sound, so any unusual movement around them can instantly alert them. Behind the grass, the lion began to stalk and approach. Behind the grass, the lion began to stalk and approach cautiously. It didn't charge directly at the rhino but circled around, trying to find a position on its side to try and pressure it. When the lion got too close, the rhino immediately turned, lowered its The short distance left the lion with no safe position to continue its pursuit. The rhino didn't need to chase far, but maintained a defensive posture, advancing step by step to force the predator to retreat. The lion quickly abandoned the hunt, as a direct charge from an adult rhino could cause serious injury. The confrontation ended in defeat for the lion, even though the attack didn't last long. Adult rhinos possess sufficient defensive strength to deter many predators from approaching directly. In nature, timely retreat is also a way for predators to avoid unnecessary harm. On dangerous open fields, big cats are constantly hunting in a relentless competition with their prey and other predators. There are the precise bursts of speed from the cheetah, but also the sudden lunges of the lion or leopard that change the entire course of events. And as the distance narrows, every confrontation can end in an unpredictable way. In open ground, the cheetah constantly observes its surroundings before stepping out of its safe zone. Cheetahs have very precise hunting instincts, often choosing weaker targets or individuals that are out of sync within the pack. Speed, light body, and long legs give the cheetah a significant advantage when running, which is also when the leopard begins to silently approach from behind. While the prey is still in open ground, the leopard begins to move slowly to close the distance. The leopard doesn't rush out, but maintains a position close enough before suddenly accelerating from the side. The leopard's strong approach forces the cheetah to immediately abandon the prey to avoid a direct collision. As soon as the leopard continues to close in, the cheetah immediately retreats towards open ground to avoid a prolonged collision. But when the leopard gets close to the prey, the cheetah is also forced to leave the area to create a safe distance. The confrontation ended with leopard securing the front line, while cheetah retreated to avoid injury. This encounter demonstrated that speed isn't always the best way to secure a hunt. In many situations, avoiding direct confrontation is crucial when the opponent has an advantage in strength and control of the area. On open grasslands, survival depends on the decision to retreat before the distance narrows completely. Within the dense thicket of bushes and low trees, the leopard moved stealthily, constantly observing changes around its territory. Leopards possess a very stealthy hunting instinct and often utilize the thick grass and terrain to approach their target with minimal noise. Their strong muscles, powerful jaws, and climbing abilities allowed them to maintain an escape route before the lion began to approach. As the leopard began moving through the area where the lion usually lurked, a lion spotted it from a distance and began to keep its distance, slowly circling around to narrow its escape route. Suddenly, the lion accelerated and lunged towards the leopard to cut it off from the open ground. Just as the lion closed in to gain the advantage, the leopard immediately lowered its body and retreated. If an opening appeared, the leopard quickly slid into the bushes to escape the lion's pressure. But in the moment of being cornered, the leopard could only maintain a defensive posture before finding a safe escape route. The confrontation ended with lion gaining control of the area, while leopard was forced to leave the open space to avoid further encroachment. On the wide grassland with many low bushes, the impala herd constantly observes its surroundings and listens for subtle movements. Impalas have a very keen survival instinct and always maintain a high state of alertness when moving with the herd. Their long legs and flexible muscles allow them to accelerate very quickly, which is also when cheetahs begin to approach from behind. When a young impala deviates slightly from the group, the cheetah lowers its body and silently closes the distance. The cheetah maintains a suitable distance before suddenly accelerating to cut off the impala's path. The cheetah lunges from the side to force the impala off course on the open grassland. The impala immediately changes direction repeatedly to prolong the chase and disrupt the cheetah's acceleration. But when the cheetah chooses the right moment, its speed advantage still allows it to quickly close in on its target. The hunt ends when the cheetah controls the impala's direction of flight, before the prey can rejoin the group. This moment demonstrates that speed alone is not a guarantee of victory without the right distance and timing. The cheetah must combine patience, target selection, and precise acceleration to complete the hunt. A single misstep from either the impala or the cheetah can alter the entire outcome on the open grassland. For many years on the East African grasslands, wildebeests are almost inseparable from their herds for most of their lives, moving together in large groups and maintaining close distances to minimize risk. When danger is detected, hundreds of individuals can change direction almost simultaneously in seconds, creating a collective response that is very difficult to break. And this often leads to confrontations in areas where water crosses. At a shallow section of river, a female lion spotted a wildebeest confined to the shallow mud and began to approach slowly from the front. She kept her gaze fixed and advanced step by step, waiting for enough distance to gain an advantage. But the wildebeest did not flee, but stood still, observing and lowering its head, thus forcing the situation into a direct confrontation. When the distance narrowed, the wildebeest suddenly turned its body and advanced straight towards the lion, keeping its head low and its horns pointed forward. The lion immediately paused and retreated a few steps, failing to maintain its initial attack rhythm. Having lost its advantage, the lion was forced to retreat, ending the hunt in defeat, while the wildebeest maintained its position and escaped the situation safely. In such brief moments, the outcome of a confrontation is often determined by reaction and distance. When the prey maintains its rhythm and doesn't turn and flee, the predator's initial advantage quickly diminishes, and the hunt ends in seconds. On the dry land near the remaining food, the hyenas constantly moved around the area, communicating with short sounds. Hyenas have a very strong survival instinct, often pursuing injured prey or competing for food for extended periods. Their strong jaws and ability to coordinate as a group allowed them to maintain the initiative before the lion began to approach the area. As the hyenas continued to approach the remaining food, the lion kept its body low and moved slowly to observe the group's reaction. The lion didn't rush in immediately, maintaining distance before suddenly accelerating forward. The lion unexpectedly charged straight into the nearest group of hyenas to force them away from the food area. Adult hyenas turned to face the lion and emitted warning sounds to maintain formation around the group. But as the lion continued to advance and maintained its position in front of the food area, the hyenas began to retreat and gradually left the area. The confrontation ended with lion securing the remaining food, forcing the hyenas to retreat from the open ground. This encounter demonstrated the hyena's tenacity and remarkable coordination in the struggle for food. But with lion holding their position and reacting at the right moment, the hyena's numerical advantage was no longer enough to control the situation. On the savannah, many confrontations often change after a single, precise moment of engagement. After a hunt on dry land, the wild dog pack remained close together, constantly communicating with short calls. Wild dogs have a highly disciplined pack hunting instinct and often coordinate from multiple directions to corner their target. Their high endurance allows the pack to maintain a steady rhythm of movement, which is when the lion begins to silently approach from a hidden direction. While the wild dog pack is still in formation, the lion keeps its body low and silently closes the distance through the low grass. The lion doesn't give a signal beforehand, but waits for the moment an individual reacts slowly before suddenly lunging forward. The lion charges directly at the nearest wild dog group to disrupt the pack's formation. A few adult wild dogs give a warning call and quickly retreat into the bushes to create sufficient distance. The lion doesn't need to pursue for too long, as its main goal is to disrupt the formation and maintain its presence in the area ahead. The confrontation ended when the wild dogs were forced to retreat from the open ground, while lion held his position after a well-timed close-range approach. In the Pantanal wetlands, capybaras rarely live alone, usually gathering in groups to enhance their vigilance and protect their young. They maintain close proximity and take turns observing their surroundings, allowing them to detect unusual movement earlier. When danger is detected, the entire group can react almost simultaneously and move toward the water, making any close approach highly sensitive. In the low-lying vegetation along the shore, a jaguar lies still, waiting for a capybara to approach within a favorable distance. It doesn't move continuously but remains low-lying, observing the prey's pace before accelerating in the final few feet. When the distance is reduced, the jaguar lunges out with explosive speed, forcing the capybara to change course and find its way into the water in a very short time. The capybara reacts immediately and lunges toward the water's edge. But the initial distance is insufficient to give it an advantage. Jaguar quickly closed in and took control of the situation within the first few seconds, ending the hunt without a long chase. In situations like this, explosive speed and the ability to close the distance often determine the outcome, and capybara didn't have time to create a safe distance to escape the initial pressure. Amidst the vast savannas, where distance is often the last line of defense, another threat silently emerges as packs of wild dogs begin to move in formation. Without haste, they gradually close the space, turning the prey's advantage into a disadvantage as every escape route is eventually controlled. This is not a surprise attack, but a process of relentless pressure, where coordination and endurance determine when it ends. In sub-Saharan regions like Kenya, Tanzania, Namibia, and Botswana, hyenas inhabit savannas and semi-desert areas, where their long-distance vision allows them to spot opportunities early. In the Serengeti, they often stick with hoofed pack and utilize open terrain for long journeys. However, when one hyena leaves the safe zone near the water's edge, this support weakens, creating the conditions for early pressure to build. On the riverside prairie, a pack of wild dogs spotted a lone hyena and switched to a watchful stance, maintaining a low formation and circling to block its escape route. As the hyena became alert, the pack of predators simultaneously increased their pace, closing the distance in multiple directions, increasing pressure and forcing the situation into a chase. The chase erupted along the riverbank. The hyena constantly changed direction to maintain distance, but its escape routes were gradually blocked as the encirclement closed. Cornered at the water's edge, its attempts to break through the encirclement proved ineffective. Its reaction speed decreased significantly, and control shifted entirely to the pack of dogs, forcing the hyena to retreat at a disadvantage. In an open environment, the hyena's advantage lies in its endurance and adaptability. But when placed in a controlled space and under pressure from multiple directions, that advantage quickly diminishes, thus shifting the balance in favor of maintaining a stable, coordinated rhythm. In the savannas and open forests of sub-Saharan Africa, such as Kenya, Tanzania, and South Africa, lions live in open environments where they utilize tall grass and low light to approach their targets with little risk of detection. On the Serengeti savanna, they typically move low and slowly, maintaining a safe distance before acting. When an individual leaves its protected area and appears in open space, the balance of power shifts, creating conditions for pressure to build, initiating a confrontation. On the vast savannah, a pack of wild dogs spotted a lone lion near a water source and quickly deployed their formation, avoiding a direct approach and instead circling to apply pressure from multiple directions. As the lion realized their presence and became wary, the pack of wild dogs constantly adjusted their positions, gradually narrowing the safe distance and increasing the pressure, leading to a sudden acceleration. The confrontation became tense when the pack of dogs unexpectedly accelerated, forcing the lion to constantly change direction to maintain balance. Despite several strong attempts to break through the encirclement, the pressure from multiple directions restricted its movement space. After a period of struggle, the lion seized the opportune moment to escape the encirclement and retreat. But the wild dogs maintained the initiative throughout, thus establishing the outcome and bringing the climax to a close. On the vast grasslands of the Serengeti and Masai Mara, wildebeest live in large herds and migrate seasonally in search of water and food. When threatened, the entire herd often runs in disarray, creating chaos that makes it difficult for predators to pinpoint their targets. However, when a group congregates at the edge of a feeding area, gaps begin to appear in the formation, creating a risk of separation. On the grassland near the edge of the forest, a pack of wild dogs spotted a herd of wildebeest gathered around a food source and began circling to apply pressure from multiple directions. They didn't attack immediately, but gradually closed the distance, forcing the wildebeest to retreat and constantly change positions, destabilizing their defenses and increasing the pressure. The chase erupted when the dogs all accelerated, causing the wildebeest to panic and split in several directions. Some tried to maintain formation and find a way to retreat, but the constant pressure made it impossible for them to maintain distance. After a period of struggle, the wild dogs gained control of the food source area, forcing the wildebeest to retreat, thus establishing a clear advantage. Spreading across sub-Saharan Africa, including Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and Ethiopia, baboons inhabit savannas, woodlands, cliffs, and riverbanks, where they utilize their keen eyesight to detect danger early and choose high vantage points for safe resting. However, as they move down to grasslands to find food near water sources, the troops' protective distance begins to weaken, creating an opportunity for separation. On the grassy field, a pack of wild dogs spotted a group of baboons in the distance and, instead of immediately approaching, dispersed their formation, moving around to create confusion while silently blocking escape routes. As the baboons realized their presence and became wary, the pressure gradually increased, forcing the defensive formation to constantly adjust, causing tension to escalate further. Chaos ensued when a baboon was separated from the group. The pack of wild dogs immediately accelerated, creating a tense chase across the open terrain. The baboon tried to change direction to rejoin the pack, while others advanced to support and maintain cohesion. After a period of struggle, the pack of wild dogs was forced to retreat when they failed to break the formation. The baboon returned safely, but the initiative remained in the hands of the wild dogs. When operating in open space, the baboon's advantage lies in its collective cohesion and reaction. With the formation maintained, its defensive capabilities increase significantly. Therefore, the outcome depends not only on speed, but also on maintaining the group's structure and creating smooth transitions. In the savannas of East and Southern Africa, such as Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, and South Africa, impalas live in open grasslands interspersed with sparse forests, providing them with both a vantage point and hiding places. Near the edge of the forest, they can easily detect danger and quickly dart into the bushes to avoid it. However, when foraging in open spaces near riverbanks, their safety begins to diminish. On the vast savannah, a pack of African wild dogs spotted an impala foraging and immediately deployed their formation, not closing in but circling to block its path. When the prey realized this and accelerated, the pack simultaneously increased their pace, forcing its trajectory towards the water's edge, thus gradually building pressure. The impala desperately plunged into the river to shake them off, but its escape routes were blocked as more members joined the encirclement. In the middle of the water, its movement was constantly obstructed. Its attempts to return to shore were unsuccessful. Its stamina significantly diminished, and the impala was completely surrounded by the pack of dogs, unable to maintain distance, shifting the tide in favor of the wild dogs. In the context of an open grassland, the impala's advantage lies in its vision and ability to change direction. But when forced into a controlled space and its movement pace dictated, that advantage quickly diminishes. Therefore, the outcome is usually decided quickly, setting the stage for the next part of the story. In tropical rivers, lakes, and swamps, crocodiles often hide in murky water, using the riverbanks to approach their targets undetected. On many African rivers, they lie in wait where animals come to drink, maintaining the advantage of surprise when near the surface. However, when they crawl ashore to bask in the sun and leave their familiar environment, their control begins to diminish, and pressure gradually builds. On the grassy bank of the river, a pack of wild dogs spotted a lone alligator and quickly dispersed, circling to block its way back to the water. They didn't approach directly, but gradually narrowed the distance, taking turns disrupting and blocking its path, slowly shrinking the safe distance and increasing the pressure. The confrontation became tense as the alligator tried to reach the river's edge, while the dogs continuously cut its way and maintained their encirclement. When the moment arrived, the alligator accelerated toward the water, with the dogs following closely to maintain pressure. After a short standoff, the alligator returned to the water, while the dogs maintained the advantage on land, thus establishing a clear winner. In the arid and semi-desert regions of Africa, oryxes survive by tolerating heat and conserving water, often moving across open plains and near sparse grasslands. When in danger, they turn outward, using their long horns to form a defensive ring to maintain distance. However, when an oryx separates from the pack in an arid area, this protective structure is broken, and the risk of being approached begins to emerge. On the arid savannah, a pack of wild dogs spotted a lone oryx and deployed their formation, dispersing to block all escape routes. They didn't charge immediately, but gradually closed the distance, taking turns applying pressure to wear down its stamina, slowly controlling its movement space and increasing the pressure. The chase dragged on across the open terrain. The oryx repeatedly changed direction and used its horns to maintain distance, but couldn't shake them off. As its stamina waned, the pack of wild dogs accelerated, closing the encirclement and closing in from multiple directions, disorienting the oryx. Control shifted entirely to the pack, and the outcome was clearly decided. On the arid terrain, the oryx's advantage lay in its adaptability and group defense, but when separated and under constant pressure, that advantage quickly diminished, and the outcome usually favored the pack that maintained sustained coordination. Not relying on individual strength, wild dogs control the situation through close coordination and maintaining constant pressure throughout. When space is limited and the prey's reaction time is disrupted, initial advantages quickly disappear, whether speed, numbers, or defense. From these encounters on the savannah, one rule becomes clear. The winner is not the fastest attacker, but the one who controls the entire course of events.